In your eyes, what's the oldest spirit that you guys have come into touch with
The oldest.
throughout the course of your work, with or without the Ouija board?
With or without the Ouija board, I would have to say Dick Turpin.
Yeah, I mean, as a
Dick Turpin.
famous highwayman, we used to investigate a pub that dated back to the 1500s.
Spaniards in.
And yes, a very reputedly haunted location. But we were dealing with spirits dating back to like the 1500s.
It was the first contact I ever had that we ever caught on film.
Yeah.
And it wasn't an apparition. It was what actually physically happened at the time. And I'll explain that if you don't mind.
Go for it.
Basically, so we was we'd gone to the pub. I had 2 walkie-talkies, put one on the bar and one on my hip. I was calling out a list of spirits, or a list of names that are associated with the pub. And I got to this one particular name, Francesco Pereiro. And as I said, Francesco Pereiro, if you can hear my voice, can you please come through? And at that point, the walkie-talkie on the bar went, and I was like, everyone went, oh, that was like pretty close. And I went, so I challenged it. I went, okay. I said, if that was you, do it again. And then my walkie-talkie went like that.
So yeah,
Now,
I mean, if you're in a dark, you'd be pretty scared.
That's not the end of the story. Almost a year to the day, we were back in the pub. We'd done loads of investigating throughout the pub, upstairs, downstairs, and I left one walkie-talkie on the bar. Hadn't gone off all night.
No.
So we're sitting there. It's about 3
In the morning.
in the morning, and I said, "Okay." I said, "If there are any spirits in this bar, make the walkie-talkie go off." And it went. Like that again.
So I think, we all just sort of looked at each other and went, But I think it's obviously correlation. We're looking for answers to the questions. If it just happened randomly, we might put it down to interference and stuff.
Yeah,
but
a minicab being ordered.
Who knows?
And it's radio frequency, so
But we're looking for tangible responses to the questions you're asking.
You think it was Francesco Pereira?
Yeah,
Potentially, yeah.
I think when we come to that conclusion, we're like,
Yeah, I mean,
we ran through loads of names, but 8 names, and we got to Francesco Pereira. Francesco Pereira and Jose Pereira were the 2 brothers that formed the Spaniards Inn.
Yeah.
So that's where it came from. They had a duel over a woman, and one of them died.
Lady Fontaine.
So basically, it was an old story about how they passed over. One of them passed over, was shot, and they were both in love with the same women. Again, we were reverting to characters and calling out the characters associated with the inn. It landed on one of them, and then all of a sudden, a chain of events just started opening up, and thereafter.
You think Francesco's spirit was stuck in that bar?
We had evidence to say potentially.
Yeah.
We can never say yes, but we would always say we got evidence to support that fact.
Was it bothering people?
Yes.
Well, yeah, I mean, there were people being pushed in the back, like into
Tripped over
into the ladies' toilets. Like there was a lot of women complained about being forcibly pushed in the back. One of those women was actually my mother. She had the same experience. She felt something push her in the back, and she was going into the toilets. This was long before we even investigated the place. I always remember saying, it was really weird. I was going in the toilets and I felt something push me. So, I mean...
But it's important to note as well that there's actually living quarters above the pub, and that date back to the original Spaniards Inn, so the 1500s. So all staff members have a place to stay, and some of the staff were very heavily impacted by this supposed spirit.
There was one girl, literally her door was... It was like an entity had hold of her door handle and wouldn't let her out of the room, and she was screaming and forcibly trying to get out.
She couldn't open the door.
And she couldn't open the door. And then all of a sudden it let go, and she went flying backwards into her bedroom. But we investigated that pub intensively for many years.
10-year period. We were there for a long time.
Like we went through that pub, and we got so many pieces of evidence. Yeah.
We couldn't film everything back then because it was more difficult to film stuff back then, and obviously, but you can never have every angle covered.
What did Francesco want?
I think to scare us or to make it known that he was still there,
Still
and still
there,
owned the pub. And I think as well, as you think about it as an active pub, it's a lot of people coming through the building. It would have been less busy back then. So it's a very well-known, very famous pub, a lot of traffic coming through there. So maybe it was just trying to give a sign that they were still there and they were the ones who made the pub what it was.